Ray Flores here for the Boxing Channel as we get set for Triple G and Canelo this upcoming Saturday in HBO pay-per-view alongside the esteemed trainer for Gennady Golovkin, Abel Sanchez. Abel, this has been a long journey. You guys have been almost on a world tour with Gennady Golovkin, and finally it's upon us. How excited are you guys for Saturday night?
Extremely. He's excited because finally somebody steps up. Somebody that the public views as a threat steps up, and I think we're gonna have a great fight.
Tom Loeffler said when he went into training camp with you guys and he saw Gennady training that this is the best he's seen Gennady in quite some time. Could that be a case of that finally, like, Gennady is, when you're so dominant for so long, you might get complacent, but now this is a formidable opponent. Not that Jacobs wasn't, but this kind of lights the fire for Gennady. Do you feel the same way?
I do, but the reason being, for the last 4 or 5 fights, he's been very frustrated that guys are just talking. Guys are talking, and we've had to fight fights that we necessarily didn't want to fight, but we had to keep them busy. Mandatories and opponents that really want on the level to motivate a guy on his level. Now that Canelo is stopped talking and Oscar has signed a contract and Canelo signed a contract, now he knows that the 16th is upon us. He trained that way, knowing that the contract was signed. So his motivation and his outlook and his approach to everything that we've done in the gym was because now he sees a legitimate threat in front of him.
Now, I believe that history repeats itself, and one of the case that I'm thinking about is when Marvin Hagler fought John Mugabe. When Hagler fought Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard did not want to fight him, did not fight him. But when Hagler fought Mugabe, looked vulnerable, then the fight happened right after that. Do you think that for Canelo, when he saw Triple G fight Jacobs, who's very tough and one of the best middleweights in the world, that he showed a little bit of weakness enough to where it's like, okay, now I want this guy?
Well, I have answered that question this way. If the roles had been reversed and Golovkin had fought Chavez, Chavez would have got knocked out. And if Canelo would have fought Jacobs, Jacobs would have beat him. So I don't think it was so much Canelo not being prepared. I think that Canelo has always thought that he could beat everybody. He's a warrior. I think it was Oscar. I think it was Oscar and the company and not wanting to, or not thinking that their charge was quite ready for that level. But yeah, once they saw the Jacobs fight against, I think, the second best middleweight in the world, in Jacobs, they felt confident that they could win.
Canelo said today during the grand arrivals that he's going to knock out your man Gennady Golovkin. How do you guys feel when it comes to those bold predictions from Canelo Alvarez?
Well, like he did when he called us into the ring, like he did after the Cotto fight and said all those things, he's putting his foot in his mouth again. Because if he doesn't go out and try to knock Golovkin out, I hope the public calls him on that. You're talking about a guy Golovkin that's never been knocked down, has never been hurt, has never been knocked out in 350 amateur fights and 38, 39, I don't know how many fights he's got as a pro. So for a guy that couldn't hurt Chavez, who came in undernourished at 164 pounds, and a guy that couldn't knock out Cotto, couldn't even hurt either one of them, to boast that he can knock out Golovkin just means to me that maybe he's going to try to trade and try to be inside and try to be in the center of the ring, which for all of us as fans, they're going to treat us to a great fight if that's the case.
Now, you said that, how do you see this fight playing out? The first 4 or 5 rounds could be competitive, but then you think it is Gennady's ring generalship that seems to take over?
Well, I think the first 3 or 4 rounds are difficult for both guys. Canelo may win 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3, I think because of his hand speed. But I think that as the fight goes on, he starts to wear down because of Gennady's presence. Gennady's presence is probably going to be the most important part of the fight, in my opinion, because he's going to be there and he's going to wear out Canelo mentally. Once he starts hitting him, because he is wore down a little bit, once he gets his distance and starts catching him with shots, single shots, because Golovkin's never been one of those guys that throws 5, 6 punches in a row. Once he starts catching him and slowing him down, then I think Gennady's physicality will take over, and somewhere in the 10th, 11th round, he'll stop him or win a going-away decision in the 12 rounds.
Do you take anything away from how big and how shredded Canelo looks? I mean, this is the best in shape that we've seen Canelo Alvarez.
On September 15th at about 1 o'clock, he's got to weigh 160 pounds. It doesn't matter how many muscles he's got on his body. It doesn't matter what he looks like. Timothy Bradley's probably has the most sculptured body in boxing, and he couldn't crack an egg. So muscles means nothing. What Canelo has to do is make the 60-pound limit, and if he's got muscles, he's going to look great at the weigh-in. But that doesn't win the fights.
Now, finally for you, do you think that this is like Gennadi's way? I mean, you've been on this journey with Gennady Golovkin the entire time here that he's been here in the States, but this is like his coming out party. This is his way to finally show the general fight fan that, look, I'm this good, and this is why people have talked about me for so long.
I do believe that. I do believe that in his mind, he finally has the fight that will define him and define Canelo, win, lose, or draw. I think it's the fight that fans have been waiting for. It's the fight that where he can go out and just put it all on the line, because if this is the last fight that he fights, which is not going to be, this is the last fight that he fights, he done everything that he could do. And the same thing for Canelo. I don't think there's a loser in this fight. I think that it could be done twice. It could be done 3 times. They're both that good.
Well, Abel, thank you very much for your time. Good luck to Gennady Golovkin on Saturday.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Abel Sanchez joining us.